Hello, hello, hello there, Doodle fellows. I was asked by someone about where I get some of my doodle inspirations to make some of the lines that I make. I look at random things in the world around me. I will look at pieces of wood, rotten pieces of wood. I look at bark, trees, a lot of things in nature that inspires me and motivates me to make doodles. I look at the outlines of it and I try to photographically remember that by imagining that there is a pen, specifically a roaching isograph, outlining the shape of what I'm looking at. And I look at different leaves and I look at different vines and all the different little textures you see when you're walking on the sidewalk, and how some of the cracks split and go into different directions and make little pieces of fractured fragments of concrete and different little pieces of other things laying around in between it and the light hitting it, little shadows on the side. All these different textures and shapes, I incorporate that into my drawings, and a lot of it is inspired by nature, as you can see in this doodle here that I'm doing with a Sharpie. I have a giant triangle that I've drawn in the center, vines, and what looks like clouds to the corner, kind of billowing up and going around it. And these vines swirl upwards too, and then I add some hatch marks. The hatch marks are sort of inspired by what I see when I see woven baskets, or maybe even if you're looking at a large field of crops that has been harvested, or maybe even if you're up in a satellite view looking at a large area of land and you see all the different fields of crops that go in different directions, kind of like hatch marks, like the ones on this paper. So I look at the things around me and I incorporate that into my doodles. As of right now, I'm looking at this light-colored wooden board that is on my table that I actually have setting here because my two desks aren't actually even. And I had this setting there with my audio interface on it and keyboard. And the different textures that I see in the wood and the grain of the wood and the swirls, I'll look at that sometimes and even add that into my drawings. And I see the different shades of the grains of the wood swirling around, going in different directions. And I'll think of that, and then I'll look out my window and I'll see a tree and the different textures of the bark, and then I might see a bird fly by, and maybe I'll draw some feathers in my doodle, or maybe I see the leaves falling off the tree and I'll draw leaves kind of falling everywhere, or I'll see clouds outside and I'll add those into it with a little bit of stippling to add some more depth. And I try to draw things layered and overlapping to give it more depth as well, and adding some shadows to areas here and there to make it a little bit more interesting than it would be without that there. So hopefully these little tips have helped you, but that is some of the ways that I find inspiration and motivation to make many of these random and strange doodles that seem to just come out of nowhere, with no preparation, no planning. But in many ways there is a lot of planning, there is a lot of preparation, because in my daily life I look at the world around me and I try to outline and shade everything, what I'm seeing in front of me, and I imagine that it's a pen drawing everything, making all the hatch marks and the shadows and the outlines and stippling and layering and lining everywhere. Always looking at things that I could draw that inspires me. Let me know if this is helpful, and I hope you have fun drawing. I will talk to you all later. Alright, see you all later.